Hi, my name is Shira Rubinoff. I'm here with Wendy Moore, VP Product Marketing at Trend Micro. Wendy, pleasure to have you here today.
Thanks for having me, Shira. I'm really looking forward to our chat.
Likewise. So, Wendy, in today's hyper-connected world, the ability to balance cyber risk with the speed of digital transformation has never been more challenging. And I'd love to learn more about your approach to the enterprise attack surface and the importance of understanding, communicating, and mitigating cyber risk that everyone pretty much deals with today. So, Wendy, can you please talk a little bit about how cyber risk has become one of the top challenges organizations face today? And what are some key considerations transformational leaders need to be focused on, really cutting through all the red tape and giving them what they need to hear?
Well, it's cyber risk is a big topic of discussion, and there's many different types of cyber risk. There's operational risk. There's risk associated with cyber risk, but there's also risk associated with your attack surface, which is really the area that Trend Micro focuses in on. And your attack surface is basically any digital asset that you have out there, any kind of attack vector that can allow unauthorized access into your system. So it could be somebody exploiting a vulnerability in a container. It could be somebody basically taking credentials, stolen credentials to one of your employees' email accounts. It could be somebody accidentally not setting or not protecting a file storage drive on the public internet. So a misconfiguration that the bad guys are able to take advantage of. So there are all these different elements to your attack surface. And it is really at the core of a large amount of your cyber risk. And in terms of being able to understand that, that is one of the big challenges that organizations have today is how do they get a view of what that attack surface even is, because it is changing constantly, minute by minute. And digital transformation is a very big driver for that.
I think that's very interesting the way and very important the way that you describe that there's different levels of it, different ways to approach it, and understanding the entire attack surface. And I think that's what a lot of organizations struggle with. So that was very important. Thank you for that. So here's now when we talk about the communication piece where a lot of organizations get lost. So when it comes to communicating the cyber risk, another big challenge organizations face is figuring out how to actually communicate across the enterprise. Who needs to know? What needs to be shared? What is the hierarchy of that? What is the time factor of that? How do we do this?
And that is such a huge challenge we hear from so many customers out there. Cyber risk is a complex topic. How can I communicate to the key stakeholders in the organization, a snapshot of what's important about our cyber posture and how we're doing? And it's a very complex topic, but you need to look for ways to create meaningful representations of how your risk is improving or decreasing over time, and how the actual mitigations that you're putting in place, how effective they're becoming. And it's really changed over the last little while. Risk and cybersecurity are board level discussions. You need to be able to keep your C-suite and your board very much apprised of what is going on from your risk posture as it's related to your basically your attack surface that is always changing out there. So looking for tools that are going to help you easily and quickly get a view and a snapshot of what's going on from a cyber risk perspective is so incredibly important.
That was a key point you said of communicating to board level and the C-suites. I think we all see now that organizations and groups are now putting a cybersecurity specialist in the boardroom in order to communicate that at that level, in order to have that conversation going, really to back up what you're saying. That is really happening today. It's not theoretical. It is happening. So that's an important point. So really what I'm hearing is that a holistic platform strategy enables organizations to understand key data in order to mitigate the cyber risks and quickly recover from threats. So can you share any use cases or examples from key stakeholders that you've talked about or heard about within the organization?
Yeah, so we have several customers who are using our Trend Micro One platform as a way to basically gather the data they need in really meaningful dashboards that show things like a risk index? How is your situation improving over time, or how is it decreasing over time? But the thing that they really love is we also show them how they're doing relative to their peers. So relative to other businesses that are similar from a size perspective, that are maybe in the same industry or even the same geography, so that they can have a view as to, how am I doing relative to my peers out there, and am I doing enough? It's also a great tool from security teams' perspective, who are always trying to justify their budget and justify investment in different initiatives, to be able to clearly demonstrate, how has my security risk posture improved over time based on the investments that I've made, but also to identify where there may be gaps and where they're having challenges, and to bring forth solutions that oftentimes will need investment as well. So being able to present that very clear picture in a simple visual way that non-security experts can understand, are things getting better, or are they getting worse? That's really incredibly important to security teams to be successful in terms of defending their budget and also making investments where they need to.
I think that's very well said. I know there's a lot of conversation certainly around there is, I need more budget for, how do I prove that? How can I have not just accountability, but how can I have that backup and support that I need without just telling you, I need to show you. So showing something, being able to demonstrate that has way more power than just anything else. So that's really important. And that kind of talks a little bit about the life cycle. And I know as Trend Micro has described cyber risk as a life cycle, can you dive a little deeper into that and explain how Trend Micro fits into the big picture, and what is Trend Micro's platform strategy?
Sure. So when you look at your attack surface, like I said earlier, it's changing second by second. And I'll give you some examples as to why that might be. You have employees who are working from anywhere, who are maybe using some SaaS-based applications to do some of their work. They're not always sanctioned SaaS applications. They may be ones that, they're using some sort of a file storage solution to share those extra large files, and IT knows nothing about it. That introduces part of your attack surface, because it's putting your information out there and vulnerable. Another example, you have development teams who their main goal in life is to deliver with speed, because we all know the main source of competitive differentiation out there is to deliver what your customers need faster than your competition can. So they are entirely focused on speed, speed, speed. And to do that, they're taking advantage of lots of great cloud technology out there. Things like serverless and containers, for example. Lots of new ready-made services that are out there that they're just off there using. And they're using them for speed, but not actually with the security controls that need to be put in place to protect you. So all of this is happening. How does security get their arms around it? Because that attack surface is changing all the time. So we really believe that there is a three-step process when it comes to a life cycle for your risk attack surface management. And really the first of these is discovering your attack surface. Because if you don't know something exists, how do you even protect it to begin with? So you constantly need to be out there discovering new elements of your attack surface and how it's changing over time. Once you understand the elements of your attack surface, you need to assess the risk. Are there vulnerabilities out there? There might be vulnerabilities, but maybe you have virtual patching in place that's protecting that. So the risk isn't so great. But maybe what you've got posted out somewhere, or an asset that you have out there, isn't that important to the organization. So it's got a lower risk priority than something that is like maybe your future product roadmap plans. So we need to look at the likelihood of something being attacked and of a successful attack, and also the business impact of an attack on any one of your digital assets. And based on that, we're able to make an assessment of the risk profile of every one of your assets so that you can prioritize what you're going to deal with first. So we've discovered your assets, we've understood your risk posture for all of your attack surface. The final thing we need to do is mitigate risk, focus on the high priority risks, apply the right security controls, make the right configuration changes so that you are mitigating risk in the best way possible. That's just one turn of the life cycle. This needs to be continuously happening with continuous visibility and assessment happening because it's changing all the time. So you need to be able to continuously assess what that risk situation looks like so that you can mitigate the risk appropriately.
I love that. I know that security has taken more of a proactive approach, and this is a wonderful example of that. And there's no one size fits all for every organization. And I think that you articulated that in a very well way, that organizations really have to understand their cyber posture, where they sit, what they need, and not just wait for something to happen, but mitigate that risk. That's critical. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I want to add, I guess, one last thing over here before we get to the little announcement, big announcement. Is anything else you'd like to share about cyber risk to our audience? Anything that you want to talk to from yourself?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the value of a cybersecurity platform approach. So having a unified platform that includes tools for all of your different types of infrastructure, whether it's desktops and users and email and usage of SaaS applications, to your cloud infrastructure, whether it's workloads or containers or file storage, to your network as well. Having a platform that pulls all of those different security tools together and then allows you to apply analytics to what's happening, to understand, employ that life cycle approach to risk management. That is what's going to give you the best coverage of your environment. It is going to leave the least gaps in your environment. And it's also going to be the most flexible as your requirements change. You know, there's always going to be new technologies coming to play. And having a platform that's going to grow with your needs and address many different types of your infrastructure is so critical to getting that seamless approach and that clear understanding of your risk and how to mitigate it.
I love that. The flexible solution that can grow with you as you go, not having to worry about a rip out and a pull it new back in. I think that's very important. And I guess, you know, to end with, I'm really looking forward to Trend Micro's Perspectives Conference. And what are the top 3 things you're most excited about regarding the event?
The thing I'm most excited about is the caliber of speakers that we have. This is a conference that's very much focused from a thought leadership perspective on what are our challenges that the customers are finding. We're having some top industry experts. We're having our customer from Wayfair speaking at the conference. We're having some of our partners because, you know, we can only be successful if we're open to the ecosystem. So we're having all of these great thought leaders in the industry when it comes to understanding, communicating, and mitigating risk, talking at the conference. So going to be a lot of great takeaways for everyone who attends.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time with us and your insight into everything you're doing at Trend Micro. And I very much look forward to the Perspectives Conference.
Thank you so much for your time, Shira. Really appreciate it. And we'll look forward to seeing you at the event.
Excellent. Thank you.